I was not a believer. I wrote it off. But now it's an undiscovered species that's looking to be discovered. And they are strange. They are like nothing else on the planet.
These things, for whatever reason, they inhabit this place. It's guaranteed bet. You go to this cave, you're going to see rods and capture them on video.
But the quest to uncover the truth behind these bizarre creatures began long before these discoveries at the Cave of the Swallows. It all started here, at the very epicenter of alien activity, Roswell, New Mexico. March 19th, 1994. Jose Escamilla was searching the skies of Roswell hoping to videotape a UFO. And that's exactly what happened.
I captured something that whizzed through the lens, or whizzed from across the road right over us. I'd never seen anything that was close to what we were talking about, a flying snake. I mean, I was totally blown away.
Did Jose uncover proof of an alien life form? He was determined to find out. Jose launched a modest website in the hope that perhaps someone else had shared the same unusual experience. The response was overwhelming. First hundreds, then thousands of people logged on, all with the same story to tell.
I finally heard that there was actually a website totally dedicated to rods. And this was wonderful news to me.
And more people started calling me saying, hey, I think we've got a rod in our videos.
Flying rods, spotted in Maine, New York, Colorado, and Hawaii. Nearly 40 states in all.
You see them in the city, you see them in the country, you see them in day, you see them at night, you see them in the air. They're everywhere.
Jose appeared on television to talk about his strange discovery.
Because I wanted to tell people, look, there's something among us that we all need to check out because it's alive.
But rod sightings weren't confined to just America. This was a worldwide phenomenon. Rods were reported in Eastern Europe, Korea, Finland, and Israel. Jose wondered if rods might be the greatest discovery of the century.
I was just totally excited. I said, what is this? Is this some kind of creature or a living thing?
Not much is known about these unidentified flying objects, because not one has ever been captured. But researchers can make assumptions by studying the video.
Well, it's a form which has an exterior which is composed of a cellular membrane, and then an interior which is essentially a fluid-like medium.
The aspect ratio and the length of the width is very similar to maybe like a cigar. And running down the midline on each side of their body is a transparent fin that acts like a wing in the air and a fin in the water. And they seem to undulate this fin at a very rapid rate.
A translucent creature with no spine that flies through the air at lightning speed. It's no wonder some people are convinced that they're aliens. Right here on Earth.
I have video footage of them going through solid matter, where they can go right through a rooftop. I used to think that they were interdimensional, in the fact that they aren't subject to the laws of gravity and the universe and physics that we are.
I've seen them stop in midair. I've seen them move sideways. I've seen them move as groups in tandem, 4 and 5, make the turn at the same time. Just unbelievable things that I never would have believed in.
It may be that the rods, if they're put here by the aliens, are another plague, another UFO plague, sent to mystify us, to show us even a tiny little power is something that can nevertheless defy all the science of the modern world.
Rods are the perfect alien invasion. You know why? Because here's something that's right under our noses, and because we are so intelligent, we fail to notice it.
How long have they been here? Incredibly, some researchers think forever.
It's feasible that there could have been a life form that was really moving at very high speeds all the time that we might not have noticed.
Could it be that back in 1994, Jose videotaped the most conclusive proof yet that aliens are among us?
every time I see a new rod shot that I know is a rod, it just totally blows me away, and I just want to keep furthering the investigation.
An investigation that was about to take a surprising turn. Flying rods, alien invasion, or undiscovered Earth creature? Weigh the evidence for yourself. Seoul, Korea. Local engineer Dr. Seo Jong-hon videotaped this incredibly clear rod in an abandoned farmhouse.
These are flying in a different ways, not in a conventional way. The surrounding of the rods has some wings.
Over the course of a single year, he also captured this stunning array of rods, all outside his own home. They look eerily similar to rods shot in other parts of the world. But the Korean connection doesn't stop here. This rod was filmed by a student near the Cheongbuk province.
This is cigar-shaped UFO they call the Master from the Sky. It does look like a cigar from far away, but as you can see, it has little appendages on the sides.
And it's got something else, too. Enormous size. Astoundingly, this rod appears to fly from behind that distant mountain. Korean experts calculate that this UFO measures at least 33 feet long and is traveling at 6,700 miles per hour. But the evidence that rods may exist isn't all on videotape. Talampaya, Argentina. These faded images are believed to date back centuries. Could they actually be ancient documentation of rods?
When I first saw these, I go, wow, that looks like a rod. It's just a stick with what appears to be undulations around the length of the torso. Now, these are 1,000-year-old rock carvings, petroglyphs. Obviously, they've been around for a long time.
There actually have been a lot of mythology and folklore over the ages that could seem to be tied into rods.
1896, Crawfordville, Indiana.
The whole town witnessed what they call a sky monster. And they described it as being 30 feet long. It didn't have a head or a tail, but it was withering through the sky much like a serpent or a fish. The whole town saw it in broad daylight.
Then, between 1956 and 1958, rods were first believed to be photographed in the skies above the California desert.
With a regular camera and infrared film, T.J. Constable snapped pictures of what he called the critters.
Could these archival photographs, eyewitness accounts, and ancient artwork be proof that rods had been here for centuries? Or are these theories simply bizarre coincidences from the past? Why has the number of rod sightings suddenly exploded? Most experts believe it's due to the widespread use of home video cameras. August 18th, 2000. The Foster family takes a vacation to Roaring River State Park in Missouri. Looking forward to a day of shooting clay pigeons, Jesse Foster never imagined that he would also shoot this with his own camera.
I noticed something as my daughter was shooting. Something flew between her and the camera, which I thought was a hummingbird. So I slowed the VCR down, and it looked like a flying walking stick without legs.
Jesse's footage remained a mystery until the night his grandson John saw Jose Escamilla on TV.
I stopped at this channel for just a few minutes to see what it was about, and they were talking about these flying rods.
Suddenly he yells, "Grandpa!" And I said, "Yes," and he says, "You're flying rods on TV."
At last, Jesse knew what to call the creature he'd discovered.
It's kind of a golden tan color, which I thought was pretty neat. We actually got it in color. And the wingspan, probably 10 inches.
There it is.
Right there. There's my rod.
Isn't she a beauty?
And bang, bang, it's gone.
Is it possible that this was simply a bird or insect? After seeing the evidence up close, the Fosters don't think so.
I think they might be an undiscovered species that I've never really seen before.
We are ready to help in any research that needs to be done to find out what the answers are. They're obviously here.
But not all rod sightings are captured on home video. One of the best images ever shot appeared in this feature film. Called The Night Marchers. It was produced in Hawaii by twin brothers Blake and Brent Cousins.
I'm the man behind the camera. I do all the directing. Blake's been the guy in front of the camera. We work really well together as twin brothers and get a lot accomplished.
Popular throughout the Hawaiian Islands, the movie is about a documentary crew searching for a local legend.
This is the entrance to the cave.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
Deadly ghosts, known as the Night Marchers.
They got it surrounded. The Night Marchers are basically Hawaiian warriors that are protecting their villages. There have been hundreds of Night Marcher sightings.
While filming the movie's climactic scene in a cave, the brothers shot something that wasn't in the script.
And after viewing the footage and everything looked fine, we noticed that these little flying insects were flying at amazing speed.
But they didn't look like any insects they'd seen before.
What we did is show it to some of our friends in the neighborhood, and each and every friend of ours had an overwhelming response like, "That's no bug."
The brothers quickly scoured the rest of their footage, only to find more of these unexplained creatures.
And we're saying, wow, we actually got a good array of these things.
Brent and Blake have returned to the cave numerous times, but have yet to capture more rods on tape. But they are still believers.
To actually capture a phenomenon known as rods, it really is something.
Something they'll continue to search for the next time their cameras roll. Jose Escamilla's Rod's website created a sensation, and documented evidence began pouring in.
That's when I really started getting footage from a lot of different places, from all over the world, basically.
And the more Jose watched the tapes, the more he wondered. Maybe it's the rods that are watching us.
How do you know that these things are not benevolent? I mean, we don't know their nature.
Cape Canaveral, Florida.
Houston's now controlling.
The Space Shuttle Columbia blasts off.
Columbia, roll program.
The booster rockets separate from the main craft. As the shuttle reaches maximum speed, the camera captures an unidentified flying object. Watch again as the image appears, and then vanishes in the blink of an eye.
Altitude now 222,000 feet, downrange 48 nautical miles.
Could this UFO have been trying to learn something by flying so close to our space shuttle? It seems unimaginable. But what if rods are alien beings with an unknown purpose?
It's very hard to verbalize and explain what their purpose is, and I'm not at all sure what the purpose is.
If the rods have been made by the aliens, then I'd say that the UFO reality is trying to challenge the way we're using our science in destructive ways. And whether or not these little rods are just a way of mocking us and saying, look, you know, we can fly around in your culture and do things that you have no idea what it's about.
I believe that this RODS entity has been studied on a much higher level of what's been shared with the American media and public.
Is there any indication that our government knows about RODS?
In a memo in 1950, it was stated that Flying saucers are the most classified subject in the United States, even more so than the H-bomb. It's clear that the government's been lying through its teeth, and for many, many years.
I find it extremely hard to believe that our government does not know about these life forms. With all the footage of military testing, their silence has been deafening.
And like other reported alien activity, some wonder if the government knows a lot more than it's telling.
We've had people who work for the Navy who have told us that they know what rods are.
If the United States government knows about the rods and they're trying to figure out, I wonder how much money they're spending, I wonder how many top secret documents they've generated already chasing these things around, you know. And if I were in the position of the aliens, I'd be laughing my head off at the CIA trying to figure this out.
Conspiracy theorists use this footage to make their point. It was shot by NASA hundreds of miles above the Earth's surface. Look at these streaking shapes. RODS researchers claim that they're not comets and not asteroids. So what are they?
There's been sightings of something in outer space that seems to be similar to what we see as the rod phenomena in the air.
Since no known animal can survive in the airless vacuum of space, could this be proof that rods are actually UFOs?
The problem with this is a lot of times people are thrown off by the word UFO. Automatically they're thinking flying saucers, spacemen, and all this other kind of stuff, when quite literally the term is unidentified flying object.
Keep in mind that these astounding images were taken with the government's own cameras. Does this mean there's more to the RODS mystery than meets the eye?
So you assume that within the government there's some branch that better damn well be busy looking into these things.
Now that Jose Escamilla has logged hundreds of ROD sightings through his website, all eyes turn to the scientific community. With clear pictures now available, will scientists finally take rods seriously? Skeptics, such as entomologist Douglas Yanega, insist that rods are actually insects or birds flying so fast that their images become blurred on tape.
I think we've got enough scientific knowledge about what insects look like when they're captured on film that we can rule rods out as being anything other than that.
But Jose refutes this charge.
It's an insect, real close to the lens. When you go frame by frame, you will see exactly what it is. It's an insect. If it's a bird, same thing. If it's a rod, it's a rod.
Others claim that these fleeting images are lens flares, optical illusions caused by sunlight. But how could lens flares move with such lifelike precision?
My impression was that there were enough checks on different kinds and styles of video cameras and variations in the shutter speeds and stuff like that that I don't think that's a very good argument.
A final accusation is that rods are the result of defects within the videotape itself.
I don't like the notion of an artifact on the videotape, but there's too much of it, too many places, too many people for that to be the case.
Dr. Bruce Maccabee is a physicist who works for the United States government. He's also been investigating footage taken of UFOs since the 1960s.
I've analyzed all sorts of video things and determined sometimes I can explain them clearly, sometimes I can't.
Putting his expertise to the test, we submitted the video taken at the Cave of the Swallows. The clearest images of rods ever caught on tape.
In this case here with rods, it appears that there are some images that are unexplainable.
Dr. Maccabee spent hours carefully studying the footage, trying to determine if rods are living creatures.
On the one hand, you say to yourself, it's hard for me to believe that there are objects zipping through the sky willy-nilly at such high speeds that we can't see them. On the other hand, the camera is clearly picking up something.
By using computer enhancement and making meticulous calculations, Dr. Maccabee searches for clues that might lead to a clearer understanding of this phenomenon.
If this object were 10 feet from the camera, it would be about 7/10 of a foot long. for 100 feet from the camera, it would be 7 feet long. Now, are there 7-foot-long objects flying around so fast that we can't see them? I doubt it.
Then exactly how big are these rods? Dr. Maccabee isn't sure, but by applying the basic laws of physics, he believes that they are larger than any insect he knows about.
I can't be specific as to length, size, speed, but we got some numbers here which seem to be outside the range of normal insects.
If these rod images are not insects or some kind of camera trick, then what are they?
It would appear to be some real object that was out there, and I haven't a clue as to what it would be. As I said, this thing doesn't even seem to have any wings.
Dr. Yanega says rods aren't real, and he claims to know why.
My initial reaction was that here was a case where somebody had gotten a hold of some blurry insect photos and just didn't understand what it was they were looking at.
Dr. Yanega has studied insects for years and insists that the rods caught on videotape have a very simple explanation.
If you have an insect that's flying through the air, its wings are going to be beating up and down in a rhythmic fashion as it's moving forward. And so the body of the insect is going to turn into a blur that's a straight line, and the wings are going to form a ripple that goes along the length of this rod.
But Dr. Maccabee believes that several shots taken at the Cave of the Swallows are definitely not blurred insects.
The length of the object is some real phenomenon. It's not being stretched by motion.
Zoologist David Faulkner has also seen rods on video. He is convinced that these strange images are not any creature that he can identify.
I've never examined anything in the millions of insects I've looked over, anything resembling this at all, either in an adult insect or in an immature insect.
While some research is carried out in the lab, other scientists are out in the field collecting evidence, secretly, afraid for their careers. A remote canyon in Southern California. Two scientists embark on a clandestine expedition to photograph rods. Biologist Ken Swartz sets up the video camera.
That's one of the reasons we came here, knowing that they do exist here, and hopefully, if we're lucky, we'll get some. But just like fishing, you never know.
The man with him is a highly respected scientist from a major American university. But he's asked to be referred to only as Joe in order to protect his identity. According to Joe, being here today could jeopardize his entire career.
You would think that science is the pursuit of truth, but in fact, it is the pursuit of funding. So to propose research on rods, for example, or UFOs, is just, I mean, if I said that to a scientific colleague, they'd just laugh.
And when Joe first shared his findings with his colleagues, that's exactly what they did.
They just looked at me like I was crazy, just literally loony.
But Joe refuses to be silenced. Over the years, he spent thousands of dollars continuing his controversial research. And in 1998, he joined forces with Jose Escamilla. It was an event that would change Joe's life forever.
I was absolutely shocked that someone else had already found these, identified them, and they were very similar to the ones that I was videoing.
According to Joe, only a groundswell of public support will lift the conspiracy of silence surrounding rods. Until then, he'll continue his work in secret. Could rods actually be an unknown form of life? Or possibly even alien messengers from outer space? The only evidence we have are split-second glimpses on videotape. Experts agree. The more footage that is collected, the closer they'll come to solving this mystery.
Haven't seen anything rushing across yet.
Perhaps you can help uncover the truth by videotaping your own rods. Jose Escamilla has developed a procedure that gives even a novice cameraman the best chance of actually capturing a rod on tape. He calls it sky fishing.
It allows you to film anything in the sky, whether it's a bird or an insect, or a jet, a lens flare, anything, and you'll be able to distinguish what it is.
To skyfish, all you need is a home video camera, a tripod, and lots of patience. In Jose's experience, the best time to look for rods is in the few hours before sunset. Rods travel so fast, you'll need to set your camera at a higher shutter speed than normal. 1/2000th of a second or faster will ensure the clearest images.
Most cameras have a little dial like this. Some of them have what looks like a little baseball player or a little golfer. That's the setting you want to do on your camera when you do sky fishing, because it gives you a setting that you can shoot something and you'll get clear imagery.
Never aim your camera directly at the sun, and make sure that there's an object in the picture, like a tree. That will help you judge the size of the rods that you videotape.
I'm picking this area here where the shrub and the two little trees are and some plants and sky.
Now your sky fishing expedition is about to begin. Just like regular fishing, you may have to try your luck in more than one location.
So then you take your camera and shoot in different angles, like I'm going to shoot here for 10 minutes, and basically you go around the clock, do a 360.
A typical sky fishing expedition lasts about 1 hour. But be prepared to spend even more time shuttling through your tapes in slow motion to search for any sightings. Who knows? The truth behind these bizarre creatures could be waiting in your own backyard.
NASA's not going to tell you the truth. Scientists are not going to tell you the truth. The government's not going to tell you the truth. The only truth you can see is take my sky fishing protocol. Take it out there and see for yourself what's up there. Believe me, you're going to be surprised. It's there.
But if you don't have a video camera, you can still conduct your own rods research. Edward Lopez has made more than 100 sightings without ever leaving his own apartment. Where does he find them? On television.
When I turn on the TV, that's my source. Whatever is coming on, whether it's a movie, a documentary, a news special, a fire happening across town live.
Edward began recording TV shows 5 years ago, after he learned of Jose's work.
Before Jose Escamilla brought rods to our attention, I had never seen anything like that, like a rod.
But as time went on, Edward developed an eye for seeing rods. Sightings that might have otherwise gone unnoticed.
I do not look at the foreground action or figures. If there's any expanse of sky, I immediately look at the sky. I can still listen to the audio, but now I'm looking in the background.
Edward's research is not limited to any particular genre. He's seen rods on everything from reality shows to nature programs.
These have come from thousands and thousands of different shows since 1999.
He insists that anyone with a television and an interest in the unexplained can be a researcher as well.
As you develop the interest, your mind and eyes will open up to see things that are out there that are strange. But if it's a blur, chances are that blur is a rod.
Although video images are blurry, Hawaiian helicopter pilot Luca Rostagno finally captured some rods in sharp focus.
3 legs each side and a little tail. You have to see it. It's really hard to describe.
On a spring day in 1999, Luca and another pilot set out on a sightseeing tour above the remote island coastline.
For once, I had a chance to be a passenger, so I was not busy at the controls of the helicopter, and I had plenty of time to take some aerial photography of the island of Kauai.
Luca remembers that he shot photo after photo of the spectacular terrain with his 35mm camera. At the time, he had no idea what he was actually capturing on film.
It's exactly like what we're seeing today, same scene that we're looking at right now. I Was not aware of anything going on inside this valley till I developed the picture.
Luca couldn't explain two mysterious images that appeared in his photographs. That is, until he saw other rods on television.
I couldn't believe it. That what they were talking about on TV was exactly what I have on my film.
Luca finally knew what he was dealing with. The pictures were taken approximately 20 minutes apart on opposite sides of the island. The odds of this happening seem astronomical. Could the objects be some sort of animal flying thousands of feet in the air? Luca says no creature he knows of could withstand the enormous downforce created by the helicopter's rotors.
And we're talking about 65 to 70 miles per hour wind right there in front of the helicopter. I don't think any bugs can be able to fly in those conditions, stay right there, and be able to take a picture of it like we did that day when I took the actual shot.
Could Hawaii be another hotbed of rod activity? Does the climate or exotic locale somehow attract these strange entities? One thing's for certain. Researchers will keep looking to the skies until they find the answers. Of the hundreds of rod sightings collected by Jose Escamilla, perhaps none is more incredible than this. May 19th, 1999. Residents of Oklahoma run for cover as a tornado tears across the countryside.
Oh, man, we've got debris everywhere. Man.
Television cameras record one of the most powerful forces of nature.
It's leveled a couple houses over here.
During this live TV report from a weather helicopter, the world's largest rod is revealed.
Val, can you talk to me?
Gary, we're continuing with a very large tornado. This thing is very large. I mean, it has to be probably a mile wide.
My gosh, we got a shot of a rod that comes out the clouds of the worst tornado in the history of Oklahoma City, May 1999.
Jose claims that this white streak bursting through the clouds is an incredible 50 feet long. Could it be flying debris uprooted by the storm? Not according to Jose. It comes and goes in just a 30th of a second. What else besides a rod could do that?
Choppers at 3,000 feet above ground use cameras, and you have a rod that comes out, shows itself, and then goes back into the 300-mile-an-hour winds.
And if this one is 50 feet, one has to wonder, how big are they going to get? Now that you've seen the footage and heard the various theories and explanations, do you believe in rods?
It looks like an invasion to me. I mean, they're everywhere. Whereas 10 years ago, they weren't.
Or could this be one of the greatest hoaxes of all time?
It became very apparent to me right away that this was no hoax. I mean, it was the footage was all genuine. It was original. There was just too much of it. There was just too much volume of video footage for it to have been crafted by one man or even a team of people, and coming from too many different sources. And so I knew the hoax was not a situation.
Some say the existence of rods will never be acknowledged until one is caught.
Until one of these things ends up on an autopsy table or a dissecting tray, the scientific community really isn't going to acknowledge the reality of this creature.
But how do you capture an entity that travels hundreds of miles per hour and varies in size from only a few inches to more than 50 feet long?
I wouldn't even begin to tell you how we can catch one.
What about the eyewitnesses? How could complete strangers from around the world videotape the same unexplained objects?
We have thousands of videos. You got to ask, what would be the incentive for and the time involved to fake that many clips?
Perhaps the definitive proof is waiting to be discovered by you. With your own video camera.
If we had this same amount of visual evidence and you took this into a court of law on a murder case, I mean, there'd be no question.
But there are questions. And until they're answered, Jose and his fellow researchers will continue their search for the truth.
There have been many times where I said, you know, what is this worth anyway? Why am I doing this? Well, you know why I've done it? It's because I want to find out what it is.
Until then, the mystery remains unsolved.